Welcome to the Women's Hoop Show. Happy WNBA training camp to all who celebrate. I know I do. Those videos, it has been so exciting to see your favorite players on a basketball court again. Like the WNBA season's almost here. Can't wait. So last week, we kicked off our mini-series previewing WNBA teams ahead of the new season, diving into the Atlanta Dream, Chicago Sky, and Connecticut Sun. It got interesting because even though we thought we'd rag on the Sun, we thought we were not going to be excited about the Sun. Once we started talking, we realized just how strong they could be. Today, we're continuing the mini-series with the Dallas Wings, Golden State Valkyries, and the Indiana Fever. Make sure to tune in. Just like last time, you might be surprised by how these teams stack up. Plus, we've got an all-new, exciting edition of Hoop Roots coming your way. We've got a lot to talk about. Let's get into it. Autumn Johnson, welcome back to the Women's Hoop Show as we dive into more teams. How are you?
I'm feeling great. I'm excited to be back because, of course, WNBA season is firing up. We are around the corner. I mean, all who celebrates, I definitely celebrate. Definitely all the training camps going on right now and seeing who makes an official roster. So we have a lot to dive into. Just very excited to talk with you today.
So excited. So before we go into the next teams that we're going to talk about, Dallas, Golden State, Indiana, let's talk about some transfer news because that's how we started last week's episode. And this week, there's only one transfer that we need to discuss real quick. But MiLaysia Fulwiley announced that she is going to LSU. Wow. I I have a lot of thoughts, but my main thought was how many rumors and things are swirling with this story. And Autumn, we were just talking about how MiLaysia Fulwiley went on live and said, I didn't go on a visit with LSU. That's a lie. So I put LSU out of my mind. I was like, okay, she's not going to LSU. I wonder where she could go. Turns out she does go to LSU.
Right. There was a few schools circulating this news. So I was thinking LSU too. I mean, it's a perfect fit. Thankfully, that's the school she's going to. But yes, she cleared up a lot of the rumors that LSU wasn't one of her schools. And I think we're seeing that a lot. Like this breaking news, transfer portal news has been hot all off season long. To me, it just seems like a lot of these players are trying to take control of their own narrative and break their own news. So you just want to get like any possibilities or potential thoughts like out of people's minds so you can come out and have your own big moment. But when I saw this, I was shook. Like it's happening. This backcourt we're about to see is dangerous. Like Flau'jae Johnson, you got MiLaysia Fulwiley coming in with Mikayla Williams. I don't know who's stopping that big three. You lose a big piece like Anissa Morrow and you get one of the top guards in the nation. That is Showtime basketball in full display. I can't wait for this season to come. I mean, MiLaysia, what a huge move for her. Like she's already a championship, player with South Carolina, her hometown team. Flau'jae Johnson is as well. Why not try to do it with another school? Like you have that to your name already. She wants to be a star of a program. And I think she's going to get that under Kim Mulkey's system.
Yeah, she averaged almost 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists per game. And she was only averaging about 19 minutes at South Carolina. Yeah. So you know that those minutes are going to go up. And I think it's going to work out. I think that this was a really big decision for her. I'm excited to see how it goes down. I made a video about it, but I want her to make sure that she is developing for a WNBA player. That's what I want. Whether she was at South Carolina, whether it's at LSU, I think MiLaysia could be so fun in the WNBA and she can be a great pro. So whatever program, whatever coach develops her for that, I'm all for it. And like you said, a big three with Flau'jae, Mikayla Williams, it is going to be scary. And she gets to stay in the SEC. And LSU is hosting South Carolina this year. That was already a rivalry. Now, I mean, TV networks are so happy. They are like, we are going to make a whole week leading up to this. We know where College Game Day is going to be that week. It's going to be a great, great game.
It's gonna feed families for sure. I'm locked in already. I have my popcorn ready. Look, like I love the point of how you brought up the SEC too, right? There's not a huge learning curve when it comes to that competition. You know who you're going up against. Now it's just a system she's fitting into, but I feel like it's her play style. They play very
Mhm.
fast and she loves to get on transition. She's a walking highlight. It's perfect. Now I think it's just that chemistry piece that you have to develop. But
Yeah,
overall, what a great fit. I love the move.
I love it. All right.
Mhm.
With the butter
With
in
the butter.
LSU colors. Woo!
I
We
could
have
use
a
the Albany
WNBA season to
jersey.
get through, but the college season, when it
Yeah.
comes, it's gonna be spicy. And we're gonna talk
Mhm.
about it all the way up until then. But let's get into a WNBA season preview. Autumn, we have preseason games at the end of this week. I can't believe training
Crazy.
camp just started over this past weekend, and we're already going to be able to see what these teams, what these players look like on the floor starting on Friday. But
Mhm.
today's teams, let's start with the Dallas Wings. A little quick overview of what happened last year in Dallas. Dallas Wings fans, maybe turn the volume down during this part if you don't want to relive what happened last season. But 9-31, they finished 11th in the WNBA. And it started strong, but then there was an 11-game losing streak in there.
Yeah.
Injuries, defensive struggles. It was a lot of just question marks around what is going on in Dallas. And they missed the playoffs clearly. Arike Gumbawale still had a solid season. She was an all-star, but she was the only all-star on this team. And that allowed them to get the number one pick in Paige Beckers coming out of UConn, coming off of a championship run. Then Kurt Miller came in and just started adding all these pieces. We talked about it. Nalissa Smith, Dejanay Carrington. You have Maddie Segrist coming off of a great Athletes Unlimited season. And
Mhm.
now we're just waiting to see how it kind of all goes together. And Autumn, I know you saw some of those early videos of Paige in her Wings uniform from training
Yes.
camp. What are you excited about when you think about this Dallas Wings team this season?
So many things. Just a fresh start for this group. Obviously, the goal in mind is to get back to the playoffs. This is a team that's had many star pieces throughout the course of, the franchise's existence. But I think the excitement just with Arike Gumbawale too, like she looks excited with all these new
Mhm.
pieces around her, and that's what they needed. A point guard to run the show. You think about a bucket getter that Arike is. I mean, she led the league last year in unassisted field goals attempts. Like she needed someone to get her the ball. She can get to her spots at ease, but you need a running mate alongside you to be a top contender in this league. We've seen it every single time. And what a perfect fit. We talk about perfect fit. I mean, hello,
Mhm.
Paige Beckers herself is that franchise changing point guard that you wanted, that you dreamed of. And I think that's just going to be fun to see that dynamic between the two, that chemistry develop. It's going to be based on the adjustment period for Paige
Yeah.
Beckers. Like, obviously, she's going to have to learn a lot on the fly. We just talked about like training camp starting. I mean, in 4 or 5 days or so, they're going to be playing in their first preseason game, which is crazy to say. But overall, I'm just excited to see those two click and the other pieces around them, that supporting cast, really get going. And also, Coach Koklanis, like what he has envisioned for this team, especially defensively, because this was a
Mhm.
team that wasn't so hot on the defensive end. I mean,
No.
they ranked 12th in the league when it came to opponents' points per game. And there
Ooh.
was only there was only 12 teams at the time. So
Yeah, that's last. If you didn't know, that's
exactly.
dead last.
Exactly. So they gave up 92 points per game. This is a coach who's coming in, assistant coach, former assistant coach from USC, who hung his hat on the defensive end. And we saw, that system with the Trojans, what they were able to do. So I'm excited overall on both ends and seeing how everything clicks together. But you talk about fit, it's going to be an adjustment period when it comes down to it. But I think Paige is up for the challenge. She's a high IQ player who was coached by one of the best in the game, and Gino Ariema.
Mhm. I mean, you saw her interview after day one of training camp, and
Mhm.
Dorothy Gentry asked, what's been the adjustment so far? And she said, these screens I've been
Greens.
getting hit with.
Yes.
They've
They're
been
different.
pretty solid. This is a little different. So we know that rookies are going to go through an adjustment period with the physicality,
Yeah.
with the speed, the pace, and like you said, Autumn, one calendar month ago, by time she plays her first preseason game, was when she was in the Final Four and playing in the national championship. Like life comes at you so fast when you are a WNBA rookie, especially a top pick. And Dallas, I think they have the pieces. You also already see the chemistry between Paige and Dejanay. They're
Yes.
poking fun at each other. Like you know that that's going to be really solid. What Dejanay brings on the defensive end. You talk about just needing someone to guard the ball.
Mhm.
Dejanay Carrington is that person, and they brought her in. There's one other player that I was super excited to see on this roster and see how this season works out for them, which I don't think we talked about a lot, is MiLaysia Hines-Allen.
Yeah.
MiLaysia Hines-Allen is a player who was a part of that midseason trade coming over from the Minnesota Lynx last season. And me and Charles Swoops, we talked about it on the show. We said there aren't a lot of midseason trades, but Cheryl Reeve got herself somebody that they needed and someone to help them go to a championship run. And even
Yeah.
though MiLaysia had limited minutes, she is someone that makes a difference. Her presence, her energy, what she can do off of the bench. And
Mhm.
I think especially as you have some young pieces, we don't know who's going to make this roster. It's going to be a really tough training camp when we think about the draft picks of Isaiah James, Madison Scott, JJ Quinterly, Aaronette Von Lay coming over from Baylor. But someone like MiLaysia Hines-Allen, just a voice being during in training camp, I think is
Yeah.
huge, right?
A voice with her leadership, rebounding, you fill a scoring void, like when you lose a player like a Satu Sabli and Natasha
Mhm,
Howard, like,
mhm.
this was a team that really hung their hat also having 7 players in the paint, like 2 bigs. We didn't really see that across the board in this league. And something that I'm noticing is the ability to run the floor. Like MiLaysia Hines-Allen can do just that. I think this is going to be a very fast-paced team with
Yeah.
a lot of players who can run and gun. So I think overall it's going to be a huge style change. And MiLaysia, she fits so perfectly into that. But just a veteran leader, once again, you add to this team that can make some shake. I'm excited to see it. I agree with you. We're not talking about her enough.
I know. I just I love her. I love her play so much, and she's getting after loose balls. And you mentioned it too. Dallas has kind of hung their hat a little bit, of course, on Enrique, but Tierra McCowan is a 6'7" post that takes up a lot of space and is also really funny. I think she has the best memeable moments in
Yes.
WNBA history, especially when she got ejected and she was waving from the
Yes.
from the back. Hilarious. But I'm curious, and I read a couple stories about this, and I'm curious your thoughts,
Mhm.
where the WNBA is leaning more towards stretch fours. We're going
Mhm.
smaller, we're running, we need to be able to shoot threes. And we talked a little bit about that when we talked about Atlanta having a
Agree.
Bree Jones and a BG. Does Tierra McCowan still fit as a very solid center? Does she still fit in this type of offense? And I guess that's maybe a question mark because we don't know what this team is going to look like. But I would expect her to be averaging maybe a little bit more, adding a little bit more to the offense. But it seems like it's very guard heavy. What are your thoughts
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah, I always thought like this game is going to transition fully to like positionless play, that ability to hit the three, run the floor. We're seeing a lot of that more of players doing everything and expanding their bag so they can provide anything and more because now you don't just take away one option from you. Like I'm hitting you with multiple things. I can score at all 3 levels. I can hit you in the
Yeah.
post. I can stretch out the floor, hit you in the mid range. I can give my big down low some room to operate, and I can hit the three. Like, how do you guard that? You can't give me
Mhm.
space anymore. So we're seeing that more and more often. But I still think a player like a Tierra McCowan is very valuable. Like, not many teams can say they have 6, 7 on their squad. Like that is a rim protector too. I'm thinking about defense, and I know Coach Clannis is as well. Like he's thinking about
Mhm.
the defensive end, saying, "Oh, hey, okay, how can I provide some rim protection, or how can I create more room and spread the floor a little bit more so she can operate down low. So I still think there's value in those type of players, but I do see the game leaning more into that positionless play.
Yeah, I agree with that. I want her to say, "No, a center is needed. I am here. I want to make my mark." But even when you look at this roster, like, I mean, Erin at Vonleh, who they drafted, could
Mhm.
be their backup center. Like, they don't have a lot of true center options. They went full guards, forwards, and power forwards. So,
Yep.
I'm super curious how this is going to work out. And you also talked about Coach Koklanis. His sister is actually on the coaching staff as an assistant coach, and she was a point guard back in the day, used to coach
Love it.
at Dartmouth. So I and Nola Henry just coming off of a championship and Unrivaled. So I think he's surrounded himself with a lot of great pieces on the coaching staff to make sure to connect with these young group of guards that they're going to be running out the and defense. I am looking
Yes.
at that stat. How are they gonna jump from
Well,
dead last, move up? I mean, you can't go
yes.
down. I get
No, no.
well,
Well, it's
actually, you
13 now.
can because there's another team. So you could go down. There's now 13 teams, but hopefully that was it. That was
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You could
Times
only
have
go up.
changed. Right.
Times have changed. All right. Well, we talked about preseason coming up. Friday versus the Aces at Notre Dame is their
Woo!
first preseason game.
I
I
love
am
that.
so excited for this.
I'm
This
very
is
excited.
be so
Enrique's
fun.
back home, Jackie Young, Jewel Lloyd. I live for this. Like you need that bridge when you talk about the
Mhm.
NCAA and the WNBA. These are where these stars have been born when you think about the college game and figuring out who these players are, those big time moments, becoming champions. And now you bring it over to the WNBA. That's how you do it. I love it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I love this. That's our preseason game. Then opening night, they have a game versus the Minnesota Lynx. Then
Mm.
Monday, May 19th, they play the Seattle Storm. And then again, May 21st at Minnesota. That's going to be Paige's welcome home party because she's from Minnesota. So again, that's still in the month of May. What a few months for Paige Beckers. That's just wild.
I also love that the preseason game for her will be at Notre Dame. No, it's not UConn, but she just played there back in December. So there should be
Mm.
some type of like, okay, like I'm used to these rims. Like I
Hmm.
can this is like the college scene I'm used to. I don't know. There's just something about comfortability there for
Yeah,
me
I
that,
like
that I like.
that.
I like that for her.
Even it eases her transition a little bit too. Like, whew,
Exactly.
okay, these are way different people on the court, but I know how to play this game. I know how to play here. I'm used to this. I'm used to these fans, and yeah, that's a part I did not think about. I like that
And I
for
think
her.
she went off. I think at least she had 20. I don't know the exact like 24, 25, but I know she
Uh
went off
huh.
for 20 plus for sure
Okay,
in that
that
in that
makes me
building.
feel better. Whew, I
Mhm.
could take a deep breath. I
There's
just
no
dropped
doubt.
20
In Paige
here.
we trust, honestly. In Paige we trust, but I'm thinking about transition wise, that's a really cool
Yeah.
game for her to experience.
Yeah, especially for the first time out. I love
Mhm.
it. Okay, Dallas, we'll see what you're cooking up with very soon. Very, very soon. We're going to take a quick break, but we have two more teams to discuss: the new kids on the block, the Golden State Valkyries, and the hottest team in the league, the Indiana Fever. That's coming up next. Welcome back to the Women's Hoop Show. And now we are moving on to the newbies, the Golden State Valkyries. This is their first season, so we don't have we don't have a long recap of what happened last year, but in case you missed it, they were announced in October 2023 that they would be joining the league, and
Mhm.
they are playing at the Chase Center in San Francisco. They already sold 10,000 season tickets, which is insane.
Love
I
that.
am so happy for them. They're coached by Natalie Nakase, who is an assistant coach for the Las Vegas Aces. They got 3 draft picks coming in from the 2025 draft. They picked 5th overall. Yuste Yukaite from Lithuania. She averaged about 13 points, and she played in France as well. So she's a baller. She's a point guard, lefty. She's really smooth with it. Then they got the 17th overall pick, Cheyenne Sellers, who was at Maryland, first player in their program to pass 1,500 points, 500 rebounds, 500 assists. Another baller. And then 30th overall, they surprised a lot of people. Caitlin Chin was in the crowd celebrating her teammate Paige Beckers. She gets drafted just coming off of her national championship run with the Yukon Huskies. Then they built their expansion team from players like Kate Martin, Kayla Thornton, Monique Billings. They grabbed a lot of pieces, and this is one of those training camps where it's like, all right, there's spots to fill, and we really got to fill them. But when you think about the Golden State Valkyries first season, what's your expectation for this expansion team?
Oh, well, first things first, I'm very excited because when they put on this jersey, this is history. Like, we haven't
Mm-hmm.
seen this since '08. And I remember going to the Atlanta Dream games when they first came. And that's when I was able to see Diana Taurasi. She was one of my favorite players. And one of the reasons, like, I wanted to be so great at this game and shoot a lot of threes. Like, just seeing that representation is so important. And yeah, you can go to the Warriors games, but like to have that in your own backyard, like a WNBA team, it seems like they have a great community behind them that's backing them up, that can make Chase Center a very exciting and competitive place to play in. Excitement overall for that. But there are questions. Like, this is a new team, a mesh of veteran players, a mesh of new players, all trying to figure this out together in the first year. So it's the questions are like, how fast can they find that chemistry? How
Mm-hmm.
fast can they find their identity with so many new pieces? Who becomes the face of this franchise? And, what will their style be? How do they stack up against other competition in the WNBA? What does success look like? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
personally do not know for them. Obviously, we have to see it out there on person on the court, but
Mm-hmm.
I want to see overall if they can compete amongst the best of the best. And I think they have the pieces to do it. And I'm not comparing them when I say this to the Minnesota Lynx, but I think of a team that was slept on because they had a lot of role players. Like, that's the main conversation of the Valkyries. Like, who's the star of this team? They had a mesh
Mm-hmm.
of talented role players who click so well together. Can they be that team? Do they
It's a
need
great
that
point.
prominent star? So I want to see what it looks like. But success to me, in my opinion, for them would to be come out and be competitive, like be that team that no one wants to play against. Win, obviously, be in the win column and above 500, and make sure you're coming out and being competitive. That's something that they've been stressing from start to finish since the expansion draft, that they want to be a competitive team. So that to me would be success. Like, if they can come in, click on one cylinder, have that chemistry, and come out and
Mm-hmm.
win some games and be a problem.
Mm-hmm. That was my biggest question, and you touched on it. Where is the scoring gonna
Mhm.
come from? Like, you can I mean, it's a new team, it's shiny, I love the colors, I love they're in this new practice facility, we're watching the training camp go down, but I look at the roster and I say, you got to put up some points, like flat
Mhm.
out. You have to put up some points. And when you talk about role players, this is a new level for them where you're used to playing, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes a game, might go up, might double
Yeah.
35. It might be, okay, I was averaging 5 points when I got on the floor. Now we need you to average 15. Like, there is a huge expectation now for you to be this role player. And when you think about, no one averaged more than 10 points a game in the WNBA last season, players
Mhm.
that are on this roster. Close to that is Tiffany Hayes. We know she's a bucket getter, but she's also in her 13th year and she's 35. So that's a
Mhm.
lot to put on her to say, we need you to be our person and we need
Yeah.
you to get things going. Where she's like, okay, I was retired and now I came back. Now you need me to be the star. Like, it's a lot of, we talk about transition for the rookies and how they're going to have to adjust to the game. But there's also this transition for this expansion team for these players to say, well, I had a very small role and I just got hyped up for the game to be very productive in my small role. Now
Mhm.
we're putting you on posters outside of the arena.
Yeah.
Now we're selling your jerseys. Like, there's a different level of how you have to approach the game and show up. And you think of someone like a Kate Martin, who was in Unrivaled, who got drafted cheering on her teammate Caitlin Clark, really not even supposed to be here. And she is one
Yeah.
of those names that we're throwing in to
Yeah.
be a star of this team. Like, there's just this huge leap that I think has to happen. And I'll be watching to see what players gravitate towards that, what players kind of shy away. It'll be a rise and tide type of situation really quickly.
100%. I mean, I completely agree with everything you said. And I also think like the goal for them is to win a championship in 5 years at least.
Mhm.
It's not
Mhm.
this year. They know everyone's on the same page. It's not gonna be this year, but can we come out and be competitive? Can we come out with a chip on our shoulders and be those like that battle-tested team and face adversity together knowing that, "Hey, we're building something special here." Like, it's not gonna be easy. There's gonna be a lot of highs and lows, but how do we get through it together and become 1% better every single day? And they
Mhm.
have the mentality, they have that the pedigree of players on their roster to get that done. It's a fresh start for everyone. It's not going to be perfect, but the foundation you create, I think, is so important when you're starting a new franchise.
Mhm. And they have the support. You know, I talked to Monique Billings, who is a
Yeah.
part of this team and a vet, and she said the organization just really wants to do it right. Like, they
Mhm.
are, they have the facility, they have the season tickets, they have the marketing. Like, there is a huge, huge push for people to support and cheer on this team. Really, regardless of this win-loss column, especially this first year, like you said, they're just excited to have a WNBA team in the Bay Area. And we had Angel McCoughtry on a few weeks ago. She said when Atlanta had a team in those first few
Yes.
years, people didn't even know. Like, it was not out there like it is
Yeah.
now. So that
Oh,
is
that's
a
so
huge
crazy.
positive, right?
That's wild. I honestly didn't know because I was in 8th grade and my friend's mom took us. I was like, "Oh, this is lit." Like, I thought that was normal. Now looking back at it, I'm like, "I'm a part of history. This is
You
crazy."
were.
I didn't know.
There
I thought
are.
they had
There's
been
going to
around
be
for a while.
No, it was
Yeah,
brand spanking
really
new, brand new, and
fresh
I
and
love that
shiny.
there's gonna be a lot of young girls going through that exact same process with the Valkyries this
Love
season.
that for them. I love
Um,
it.
I love it. I hope they are competitive, and I think it is a lot of it like, no one is really expecting a lot from us,
Mhm.
so let's go out there and leave it all on the floor. A little bit like what we said about Connecticut too.
Yeah, I think also, like, they're not just happy to be here. They know this is a while it's been since we've had an expansion team, and there's gonna be 2 other teams and more following after
Mhm.
looking at the blueprint they're creating. So they're taking notes. Everyone's taking notes. Everyone wants to see what they do in their first year. So obviously they're going to come in as true competitors and try to shake things up as the first year in their team in this WNBA franchise and see what they can do.
I love it. Well, their
Hmm.
first 3 games, May 16th, they are hosting the LA Sparks, and one thing that, I always gotta bring up my Monarchs when we talking about some Cali teams,
Yes.
RIP to my
Oh.
Sacramento Monarchs, but one of the best things about the Monarchs was their rivalry with the Sparks. Like, it was
Mhm. Ooh.
it was deep. Like, it was beat LA chants, it was we hate LA, it was all of that, and I hope that there's that same type of animosity when we think about Cali teams just right down the 5
Get it.
freeway. Maybe this first game of the season can start that rivalry, and I would love that because, yeah, 2 Cali teams, let's go. I think there's a
Love it.
rivalry already built in.
I live for rivalries. I love it, I love
Me
it, and I
too.
already know that energy is gonna be crazy because you have, like, Kalani over here doing your promotion. I already know, the fact that Steph Curry is such an advocate for women's sports, I know he's gonna be in the building. Just
Mhm.
this organization as a whole, like, it's going to be star-studded for sure. Everyone who comes through that building and the community is excited. It's gonna be a place you need to be at this season for sure and seasons to come because what an exciting time. Like, why would you not wanna be a part of that?
Hey, I already want to go. My mom is
I'm
this
coming.
huge Paige Beckers fan, which is a new development.
Yes.
She is a massive Paige Beckers fan,
Same.
and she's already looked up when Paige is coming to the
Oh,
Bay because I live.
yes.
My family's from Sacramento, so we are just down the freeway. My 80-year-old Aunt Charlene, who is a huge basketball fan, she also wants to go. So now we're just planning this whole trip where we are going to go
Love
to a
it.
Valkyries game, and it's going to be amazing. They also play the Washington Mystics on the 21st, and then the New York Liberty May 27th. So I'm excited about them, excited about the Valkyries. They have carried the momentum since they announced the name, the mascot, the color. Like it has been full
Everything.
momentum since the announcement. So they have not dropped off a second. This is a masterclass of how to launch a team that I hope Toronto and Portland are taking
No.
big notes, a lot of
Yeah.
notes on how to do it right. Okay, we're going to take another break, but coming up next, we'll dive into the Indiana Fever. How will the new coach, Stephanie White, pair with Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston? And Hoop Roots makes a return. Stick around. Welcome back to the Women's Hoop Show. It's me and Autumn. We're doing season previews, and now we are getting to the Indiana Fever, which when we did our free agency recap and tiers, we gave them a round of applause for completely transforming this roster in the offseason to
Mhm.
build around their star in Caitlin Clark. And last season, they were 500, which was amazing in Indiana Fever numbers. They got the 6th seed in the playoffs. They only had 13 wins in 2023 and 5 wins in 2022. So this is huge leaps and bounds. And the front office said, oh, we're not stopping there. We are bringing in more people. We re-signed Kelsey Mitchell. We brought in a Dewana Bonner for that veteran leadership. We are going to pour more into an Aaliyah Boston. We brought in Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, Natasha Howard, all of these players
Oof.
to give that experience that they were missing in the playoffs of a young team that was like, wait, we all were drafted here and we've just been losing a lot. We actually weren't expecting to make the playoffs so soon. And here they are in this season, year 2 of Caitlin Clark, who had a phenomenal rookie season, lived up to the hype, was so much fun to watch, to see her still score. We know she went through a transition, but especially after All-Star break, this was a
Mhm.
completely different team. Like after the Olympic break too, 8-2 run in late of July and August, and they clinched that playoff berth in September. So new coach, Stephanie White. And the last time the Indiana Fever were in the finals, Stephanie White was the head coach. She was a head coach from 2015 and 2016. Tamika Catchings was there. So could she do it again? Maybe. I think this is like only good can come out of a Stephanie
Yeah.
White run team with Caitlin Clark. Like, I just think this is a perfect pair. And not only are they going to make the playoffs, but I think they're going to make a deep run. Autumn, I know we were high on them. Are you still as high on them as we were
Yes.
from free agency?
I'm not switching up. I'm standing 10 toes down. I really feel like the Indiana Fever are a championship contender, considering the fact
Wow.
all the pieces they brought over. We did say we're not crowning them as champs. I'm calling them only a contender because of what they have. And this is how you build around your superstar. And you bring over just a great basketball mind in Stephanie. I'm really excited to see how they shake out because all season long, like we were talking about the adjustment period, a learning curve for this young squad, for Caitlin Clark, that's now behind them. Like when they went to the playoffs, their vet was Kelsey Mitchell, who put her entire team on her back, and she hadn't
Mhm.
experienced the playoffs either. And we
Right.
saw just the connection that her and Caitlin Clark had as time went on and on and on. Now you're in year 2 with each other. There's only great things of what you can expect for this team to do, who they have. They have depth now. And they have experience. I remember Leah Boston was talking about in her preseason presser coming in, how now she can just soak up all this information from these vets coming in. And that's something honestly she's never had. And I'm talking about like a Dewana Bonner who has been in this
Mhm.
league for 15 years, someone who has done it at a high level and who has won. She can go directly to her teammate and ask and seek information and learn from them. And Dewana Bonner also knows Stephanie White. Like she's coming over from Connecticut Sun and she knows that
Yep.
entire system. So I'm just really excited for this team, that growth that they've had with each other in year one. Now in year two, I really think they can do something very special.
The thing you said, depth, that has
Mhm,
not really been a thing with the Indiana Fever for these 5 years, and we talk about an Indiana Fever training camp
mhm.
where typically that was a spot you wanted to land because you knew you were probably going to make the team because it was so much youth and they were building through the draft for so many years. Back to back number one picks does not come to a team that's had a lot of success. So
Right.
there is this opportunity now for them to be like, no, this is the team that we actually want to build and mold. But that makes it a little tougher for their draft picks that they did bring in. And I wanted to ask you, out of a Michaela Timpson, a Bree
Mhm,
Hall, or Yvonne Ejim coming from Gonzaga,
mhm,
would any of those players make the roster? Or if they could pick maybe one, again, we're trying to get rosters down to 11 or 12.
mhm.
Would any of those rookies even make it?
I always hope all rookies do.
I
But
know.
we know the beast of this league. Not everyone can make the roster, but out of all of them, I do see there's a lot of depth in the front court. I do think Michaela Timpson's such a perfect fit because she can run the floor so well. I mean, she was a monster down low in the paint in the ACC. What she can do with rim protection and just finishing efficiently around the rim. So I think she would be vital. But if I had to pick one player, I love what Bree Hall brings defensively. Like you talk about a player who had the toughest defensive assignment every single game for South Carolina. She
Mhm.
honed into that being her identity, but she also came in clutch with some great buckets as well. But I just love who she is, and she doesn't stray away from that. Like her identity as that two-way monster, how she can alter shots, how she never gets tired, it seems like. Um,
Never.
just a big guard with great length to her. She's back with Aaliyah Boston. I think that was such a
Mhm.
good pickup, a steal, honestly. So if anyone out of all the rookies, I'm really excited to see what Bree Hall brings to the Indiana Fever if she can stick on that roster.
Mhm. And being paired with Alexi Hall, I feel like they have a similar path a little bit.
Yes.
They
I
were
like that.
surprised, kind of a steal from the draft when Lexi was drafted, a very defensive-minded
Mhm.
player, especially at Stanford, but we know she can turn on the offensive end that we saw in Unrivaled,
Yep.
and just, she can knock down the 3, especially after the Olympic break last season. We saw those numbers skyrocket. So having her kind of come off for Lexi Hall could be really interesting.
Yeah, I
Um,
like that a
w
lot.
right? That's an interesting one. One player
Mhm.
that I did not know was on this roster until I saw an Instagram video of them doing that elevator challenge, like how to be smooth into the elevator.
Oh,
Jaylen Brown is on
yes.
this team that I
Yes.
did not know when that happened. Jaylen Brown was a rookie
Mm.
last season for the Dallas Wings. She scored 21 points in her first
Yes,
game
I remember that.
against the Indiana Fever, made everybody go, "Who is this woman?" Like, I
Yes.
was Googling, I'm like, "What?" She was making everything, just a hooper. And then she got hurt. I think she fractured her nose and she was just kind of out for the rest of the
Mhm.
season. She was gone for long stretches of time and I don't think she got back on the floor. I didn't see her again and making a
Oh,
significant impact like she did in that first game that she ever played. Now she's on this Indiana Fever team and she's healthy and she is also with all of these other bucket getters. So I think that's another player that adds depth that can bring off the bench, and she's also only in her second year and has that youth to it. So Hey, Fever.
We see you.
We see what you are doing, Indiana Fever, and I think it might work. Because when you think about the teams that were in the championship game last year, New York Liberty, Minnesota Lynx, the
Mhm.
thing that we kept talking about was that experience, was that those vets. Like, even though the Connecticut Sun had all those vets, somehow they couldn't get it over the hump. But this is a team that brought in vets like a Sydney Colson, who is going to bring that leadership, like even a Sophie Cunningham. Like, she has been deep in the playoffs. She has played in some big time games, and she can knock down some shots.
Yeah.
So the ceiling for the Fever is it's a championship. It's being in
Yeah.
the championship game in Caitlin Clark's second year in the WNBA. Ah,
Yes, and also, I mean, we can go
crazy.
on and on. We just named so many elite scores. Like, this takes off so much pressure from Caitlin,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
she was a player who just led the NCAA twice in her college career in assists in the nation,
mhm,
and she
mhm.
carried that over to the WNBA as a rookie, which is unheard of to do it on that consistent level at the highest stage. Like, now she can come in and you're not just keying in on one person. You have to pay attention to a Dewana Bonner, a Sophie Cunningham. Sydney Colson can come in, and I think she's a player that we don't talk about enough too. What she was able to do for the Aces that last year they won a championship, just the crucial minutes she always comes in and play, like brings great defense, always has the toughest defensive assignment as well. I mean, she can handle the rock as well, get her buckets, but set her teammates up for success. I think this is a team that can really alleviate a lot of pressure off Caitlin, and she's going to really enjoy that. I already know just that luxury of depth is insane for her.
Yeah, that's really nice. And again, I mean, this is no shade, but in Iowa, she had to carry the load. She didn't have that depth there either. And now she really only didn't have it for 1 year in her WNBA. And
Mhm,
now they just surrounded her. But like you said, she doesn't have to be the number one option, but
mhm.
you still have to guard all of these options. And that's
Yeah,
what is going to keep teams up at night when they are going against the Indiana Fever, because it's like, okay, well,
nightmares.
we got to guard Caitlin. We got to run her off the three. Oh, but Kelsey Mitchell's in the corner. Dang it. Okay. Dewana Bonner is popping out to the top of the key. We know she can shoot from there too, but then she could drive. Oh my gosh. I
I'm
don't know how you
stressed
do
out
it.
hearing about it. I don't know either. Don't ask me because I don't know. Like, that is
And then
insane
Natasha
to game
Howard's gonna
plan
clean
for.
up. She's gonna clean up, get an offensive rebound, and then Caitlin's gonna be like, "Okay, yeah, you can run me off the screen, but here's Aaliyah Boston, and now we're doing pick and roll for 5 possessions straight."
Crazy. And they're insane in transition. They're going to be running and gunning. Like, this is going to be a fun team to watch who can hit you left or right. I don't know how you slow that down. I don't.
Yikes! I'm so happy
Yikes
I'm
is
not
the
a
only word.
WNBA coach. I don't
Right.
have to scheme. I just have to watch, and we can
We can
just
talk
talk
about it.
about it.
We'll just talk
We
about it.
just get to have fun. We don't have a dog in the fight. But
Mm-mm.
man, those scout
I love
teams
it.
are going to be working overtime on these before they play the Fever. But we talked about those preseason games. They have one this Saturday against the Mystics at Iowa. Um, that's going to be so much fun. I know all those Iowa fans are excited to see Caitlin again. They've been traveling. We saw y'all travel all last season. So now you have it in your backyard. And then May 17th, they host the Chicago Sky. We talked about that matchup with Angel Reese when we talked about the Sky. And then May 20th, they got the Atlanta Dream, and 22nd, the Atlanta Dream. So it's going to be off and running, and we're going to see really quickly, because we saw last season they did not get off to a great start. So if they do better than, if they just win a couple games, that'll be much better than last
Yeah.
season this
Facts.
time
Facts.
around.
No,
That'll
facts.
be fun. Woo! I'm excited. I
I'm
am
excited
excited.
too. I
Okay.
need to get here right now because it's going to be nonstop every single day. It feels like just great games. The parity across the league is going to be crazy. Let's go. I need it.
Let's go. Let's go. Well, our wish is almost coming true. We are so close
Yes.
to the preseason kicking off, and are you gonna be covering those games on Ion?
I am. I sure am. I'll be in Atlanta, so I won't be there, but I'll be in studio May 2nd.
You'll be in studio.
But we're going to be at the first game for the Golden State Valkyries, and I
Mm?
am pumped about that. To be in the building for that historic moment, I'm so excited. Yes.
Oh, that's gonna be so good. So good.
Need
Okay,
it, need
well,
it, need it.
that brings us to our hoop roots section because I want to kind of combine some of the things that we've talked about. Okay, so get ready, drum roll, hoop roots.
Time in WNBA history, someone has done.
So in this episode, we talked about the Golden State Valkyries and it being the first WNBA team in San Francisco. We also talked about Caitlin Clark and how she hailed from Iowa and the popularity that she has amassed. So there's one player, if we go back in time, that combines both of those things together, and that is
Okay.
Denise Long. Have you heard of her before?
I have not. Put me on game.
I would love
Like,
to.
I love
Okay.
this.
So in the 1960s in Iowa, they were playing 6-on-6. So if you don't know, the early days of women's basketball was rooted in 6-on-6, and Iowa was at the forefront. Like they were the pioneers of this style of play, and they played it actually all the way up until the 90s. So Denise Long, imagine her playing in her pleated skirt in Iowa,
Period.
and she started gaining traction because of her scoring. She scored, Autumn, 100 points. Not once, not twice, but
What?
3 times.
What?
Her
That's like a
record.
one and done situation. What?
No, not for Denise. Her record was
Denise doesn't know that.
111. She took her tiny high school
Okay,
out of
Denise.
Witten, Iowa to the state championship where she dropped 64 points in an overtime win in front of 15,000 fans in Des Moines. So when we talk about, women's basketball just now getting popular, that was a high school championship game in the
Wow.
60s. Are you kidding? So people have always showed up for the women's game. But by May
That's
1969, the spring of her senior year, Denise Long was greeted at school by her classmates and they were saying, "Congratulations, you've been drafted." And she said, "To the Army?" And they were like, "No." The night before, she was picked in the 13th round of the NBA draft by the San Francisco Warriors, the men's professional basketball team. Denise
How do I not
Long
know
had
this?
just become, I know, hey, we're learning. We are learning. Denise
So
Long had just
much.
become the first woman selected in the NBA draft. Now, the pick was nullified because one, she was in high school. She was disqualified. But, a lot of people chalked it up. Maybe it was just a publicity stunt. But the Warriors owner, Franklin Mooley, wanted women to play on the court before home games and during halftime. So he recruited 4 teams of women and had their star be Denise Long. And one of my favorite tidbits, the women
Wow.
did not get paid, but Mooley covered Denise Long's tuition at the University of San Francisco for the whole year and
Okay.
leased her a purple Jaguar to get around the
Okay.
city with. So she was still getting around in style, even though she may have not been getting a paycheck. All right. It only lasted 1 season, but how cool is that? Isn't
That's
that so cool?
incredible. No, that's iconic. Denise was that girl. That's all I'm hearing.
She
What?
was that girl. So imagine they're playing before the games, before the Warrior games, and when the Lakers come into town, this is, think of the time, Wilt Chamberlain, best known for scoring his 100 points in
Casual.
1962, he recognized Denise Long and he goes, "Weren't you that young lady that broke my record?" And she was like,
I
"Yeah,
sure
but I
am.
didn't mean to." Girl,
Just casually.
you
It was a
gotta
random
know.
Tuesday.
No, she broke that record. And
That's
since then,
crazy.
she's been honored at Warriors games. She has photos with Steph Curry. And
Oh, wow.
I hope that she is able to attend a Golden State Valkyries game to really bring
to.
it full circle that she was a part of those beginnings of women's basketball in San Francisco.
That's an incredible story. I had to look her up while you were talking, but man, That's
Please do.
legendary. I
Please
really
do.
hope she's in the building because you talk about standing on shoulders of those who started before anyone. I just not having that coverage, so we don't really know many of these stories, but this is what we're talking about with legends, and the game wouldn't be where it is today without them, without a Denise
Mhm.
Long. So I'm my mouth is on the floor basically because that her whole story legendary. I love it.
Legendary. Well, shout out to you,
Sheesh.
Denise Long. And shout out to the Valkyries and all the players, all the teams that we covered today. And we don't have to wait much longer. Preseason is here. Next episode, we'll be able to actually talk about some preseason games, which just makes me so excited. But I'm glad I could put you on, Autumn. Thanks for hanging
Always do.
out. Always fun. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow on your favorite podcast app so you never miss an update. Your support means the world. And if you're feeling generous, leaving a quick rating or review helps more Hoops fans discover the show. And you can now see us on our brand new YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe there. Also, our inbox is open for business. Shoot us an email at women'shoops@odyssey.com to tell us what's on your mind. We want to hear your hottest takes about the draft, your burning questions about the upcoming season, and all your feelings about all things women's hoops. We just might feature your note on the show. That's women'shoops@odyssey.com. The Women's Hoop Show is an Odyssey original podcast hosted by me, Jordan Robinson. Today, our co-host was Autumn Johnson. Our producer is Phil Switek. Our video team is led by Kurt Courtney and includes Tim Meikle, Evan Cox, Allison Jeffrey, and Lauren Vieira. Our executive producers are Greg Holtzman, Asha Saluja, Danny Freisinger, Maddie Sprunkheiser, and Leah Reese-Dennis. And special thanks to Moira Curran and Josephina Francis.